Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to another episode of FTB Beyond. In today's episode, we are going to be working on something that we have not worked on yet in this series. We're going to be playing around in a new mod in this little room right here. Where is my laboratory block so I can fill in that little doorway thingy? So, there's a mod that some of you may remember from Hermit Pack, and it's a fantastic mod. It's amazing, and it lets us do some really cool things. So we are going to set up a void resource miner from Environmental Tech. This mod is pretty cool. It's a tech mod for sure, and it has some of the most beautiful blocks in the game. The alabaster, the hardened stone, this alabaster right here, the hardened stone, and then basalt as well. Hardened stone is the only one that you can actually craft, but the other ones require the void resource miner to get. Also, I should probably mention, this is a voiceover because my recording software decided that it was just going to change my microphone input at some point. So if for some reason the mouse doesn't look like it's matching up with what I'm talking about, that's why. But anyway, so alabaster, hardened stone, and basalt. Amazing building blocks, absolutely gorgeous. The only way to get them is through the void resource miner, and the void resource miner is also very useful for getting a bunch of other really annoying blocks, like mossy cobblestone, and clay, and podzol, and mycelium, and different blocks that are generally just kind of a pain to get. You have to either get them manually or set up some extravagant system to create them. So this is what we're going to create today. And it's going to come in really handy. I'm going to set it up in this room right here. Now, there's an awesome little guide called the Digital Guide. This is from Environmental Tech, and it'll tell you basically everything you need to know. If you want to make it, the recipe is a book, and then either alabaster, basalt, or hardened stone. Hardened stone is obviously the one we have to go with because alabaster and basalt cannot be obtained without the void resource miner, unless you want to chisel basalt from another mod, which is an option, but regardless, we're going to set up the void resource miner, and there are 4 different tiers. They get better, obviously. A tier 4 is better than a tier 1. Tier 1's pretty easy to make. We have pretty much all the stuff we need for that. Tier 2, once again, relatively easy to make. Tier 3, on the other hand, requires mica. Mica is only obtainable through the void resource miner. So we need to set up the tier 1 or the tier 2 and get mica before we can set up the tier 3 and the tier 4. And we also need some of these stabilized ender pearls and some other materials as well. But the big thing is the mica. That's the hard part. So what we're going to do is we'll create a tier 1 controller, and we'll have all the resources, but we do need to make a lens and a laser core. And those are pretty easy, except for they do require this clear glass, which is basically quartz and red sand, and then smelted into a special glass from Environmental Tech. So let's go ahead and make some of that clear glass stuff. Let's just make, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks? Sure, we'll do that. And let's take that over to our alloy smelter over in the village, I think, because I think that's the one that has the highest capacitor in it. I think that's the one that smelts the fastest. And it's already set up where I dump a bunch of stuff in a chest and it automatically smelts it all. So that's probably the way to go. Let's just go and do a little bit of that. There we go. Also, I have a bit of draconium ingots. For those of you who have been wondering, Welsknight, when are you getting into Draconic Evolution? Are you going to do Draconic Evolution? When is Draconic Evolution? Draconic Evolution is an awesome mod. Don't worry, my friends. We will do Draconic Evolution. It's going to happen. I need to get some resources and things together first. So that is coming down the road. Don't worry. There's some other things I want to do first. So let's take this clear glass and let's go ahead and turn that into the materials that we need. We need a laser core, and we need a clear lens, which requires a lens right here, which is also 3 clear glass. So basically you need a lot of clear glass to kind of get through this stuff. So that's why I made so much of it. But let's go ahead and make the tier 1 controller. Okay, now to make the tier 2 controller, I need to make 3 of those guys, not just 1. So let me go ahead and make the 3 more of those tier 1 controllers, because as you can see, as we're kind of going through here, each level requires multiple controllers from the previous tier, so it's going to take me a little while. Let me go ahead and make 3 of those controllers and get my tier 2 controller, and then I'll be back with you. All right, guys, I am back, and I've got my tier 2 Void Resource Miner controller thing. I need 2 of those ultimately to make the tier 3, but as I said before, I need the mica before I can progress. So we got to set this thing up before we can advance to the higher tiers, to the tier 3 and the tier 4. And I want to go straight to the tier 4 by the end of this episode. I'm hoping we can get that all set up and ready to go. So there's a pretty awesome thing in this mod called the assembler. And if we look in here, if we look in the book, you can see a complete list of all the materials you'll need to build this thing. So it's basically a multi-block structure, and we need all of this stuff that you see on the screen, right? So let's see, structure blocks tier 2. Structure blocks, let's make a bunch of hardened stone. We'll use that to make all of the different components that we need. Let's just make a whole bunch. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and make a bunch of the tier 1 structure blocks. Let's just make a stack. And then we can use those to make the tier 2 structure blocks. And let's just make a stack of those. Okay, so next we need 16 machine bases. And those are... Right. Okay, there we go. So that's the stuff we need. Let's go ahead and make those. We need 16. So we'll go like so, and oh, I'm out of iron bars. Let me just iron bars. Thank you. Yes, much appreciated. Okay. All right. Let's make 13 more of those, and there we go. 16 of the machine bases. Fantastic. Next on the list, we need 4 modifier cores. Okay, so let's just go right. Well, let's make a laser core. We'll do 4 of those, and then we need a clear lens, like so. And what you can do is you can change the color of that lens, and it will affect the percentage chance that you get of getting certain materials. So since we're going for mica, we go with a white lens, and that will give us a better chance of getting mica. If we look, here we go. You see with the regular generic clear lens, we have a 0.7% chance of getting mica. With a white lens, we have a 3.97% chance, which is obviously considerably higher. So yeah, using the white lens is going to be the best option for us to get mica, which is what we need to kind of progress through the higher tiers of the void or the void resource miner. Okay, so then let's grab those guys. And then lastly, I think we also need the modifier. You know what? There we go. We need 4 of these. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now, we should have everything we need. Yep. Looks like we have everything we need for the tier 2. And we have enough space, so we should be good. So now we can make this guy, the assembler. And this is a really cool thing. This basically takes all the guesswork out of assembling this multi-block. It's really useful. So if we put, where do I want to put this guy? Oh, and by the way, for this thing to work, you need a hole that goes all the way to bedrock, centered on the multi-block, right? That's got to be in the center. It has to go all the way to bedrock or it's not going to work. So keep that in mind. But let's go and figure out how much space we're going to need for this thing. It's a 7 by 7 by 5, I think. Yeah, 7 by 7 and then 5 high. Got it. Okay, cool. So let's just grab some cobble and let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Put that on top. There we go. And now that is sitting at the right spot. So all we got to do is take the assembler, hold right click, and it will put the whole thing together for us as long as we have all the materials in our inventory, which is pretty sweet. That's awesome. So this thing is now completely functional and ready to go, although it does need power and a place to output the items to as well. So pretty easy. I mean, basically just get the materials together, put the controller where it needs to be, and then just hold down right click with the assembler and it'll do all the work for you. So that's awesome. Now, we need an item conduit. We need a diamond chest, I'm thinking, as our output. That's what we'll put our items into as they come out of the resource miner. And then we also need a flux point so we can provide it with power. So let's put our chest right here. Ender IO item conduit there. Insert. Extract. Always. Put our flux point down, select our network, and there we go. This thing should now be getting power, and we should now be getting blocks from it, which is pretty awesome. Now, it is going to take a while for this thing to generate all of the mica that we need, because it's not super fast, especially on the lower tiers. It's going to take a while, and even with us using the lens, it's only about a 4% chance that we'll actually get mica every time it generates a block. So that's going to take a little bit. Let me wait for it to generate some mica for us, and then I'll be right back with you, because we need mica to create the speed modifiers, and we need mica to upgrade to the higher tiers. And the modifiers will also help us significantly. So, as I said, let this thing generate some mica, and then I'll come back to you. All right, guys, I am back, and we have some mica. I've got 7, which is enough to get us up to the tier 4 void ore. I keep saying void ore. Void miner. The void resource miner. We can get up to the tier 4 one now. So we should be good. Now, it's not enough to do the mica, or it's not enough mica to create the modifiers that we want, but you can see, as we look through the book here, the duration, the amount of time it takes to produce a block is significantly faster with the tier 4. We've got all the kind of different stuff here about energy cost and how long each operation takes and all that kind of stuff. So if we take our mica, we should be able to create the thing that we need, which is super useful. Let's take all the blocks that are already in here and just toss them into our refined storage system just to kind of clear out this chest a little bit. Give us some space, and then we got to tear this thing down because what we're going to do is tear it down and replace it with the higher tier. So let's just get in here with the pickaxe. Do the thing. I really need to upgrade this pickaxe. Like it's in need of it. I can't insta-mine blocks with it, which is pretty sad considering this is our Tinker's Construct pickaxe that we've been using for pretty much the entire series. And it is unbreakable, which is awesome, but it's also not incredibly fast. And there's just no open modifiers. And in the new Tinkers, there's not really a good way to add more modifiers. It's just leveling. It's just leveling. That's the only way that I can add new modifiers to it as far as I know. But anyway, so next step, we need to expand this little area because the tier 4 resource miner is much larger than the tier 3. So, why you do one block? Oh, that would do it. There we go. So we need to expand this. We had a 7 by 7 square. I want to expand that to a 11 by 11 square instead. So we're basically going to go out 2 more blocks in every direction. And that will give us enough space for the tier 4 resource miner as opposed to the tier 3, which is obviously smaller. So there we go. We've got that done. Now let's just light this up a little bit so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. And now I think we are ready to build the tier 4. This should be big enough. I just want to, yep, looks good. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's toss some of that stuff away that we don't need anymore. And let's just check. The resource miner, the new one, is 7 blocks tall. So, let's grab our item conduit back. Let's go put that back, grab some cobble, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that should be high enough, I believe, for us to put our controller there and assemble the whole thingy. So let's grab all the parts and components that we need. First, we need to actually make the controller, the higher tier. So let's make a couple of these stabilized ender pearls. I'm going to need 4 for each one, so I'm going to need 8 of these. There we go. And then we need 2 of the tier 3s, which then become a crafting component to make the tier 4, along with the last of our mica. So there we go. And then let's just grab all the other stuff. The structure blocks, the machine bases, and all that kind of stuff. Get our modifier cores, white lens, laser cores. I only need, let's just grab them all. Whatever. Okay, and let's just double check, make sure we have everything. Tier 4. I need modifier cores. Okay, so let's make a few more of those guys. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there we go. We have 12 of those. And now we should be able to assemble this thing properly. So it should be good. And let's go ahead and get rid of our little guide pillar that we use to make sure we put it in the right spot. There we go. And then we grab our assembler, hold down right click, and it does the magic for us, which is awesome. That's one of my favorite things about this mod, actually. The fact that I just put down the controller, make sure I have the right materials, and it just builds it for me, which is sweet. So there we go. We now have the tier 4 resource miner, which is going to be a huge upgrade from the tier 3. Now, you should be aware, if you're going to build this thing, you need a lot of nether stars because you need 56 of these structure blocks, and each one of them requires a nether star. So that's 56 nether stars right there. Plus you need 4 more for the tier 4 controller. So yeah, you're gonna need at least 60 nether stars to build the tier 4 resource miner. Luckily, we do have a Woot mob farm that is capable of killing withers in mass quantities, so that definitely helps. But let's go ahead and set this guy back up and get it running. We got our power on there. We'll do our little item conduit to have it output to this chest right here. Change that to insert. There we go. And you can see this is going to be a lot faster. You'll notice that we'll get blocks a lot faster than we did before. It's still not amazingly quick because it doesn't have any speed upgrades or anything like that on there, but 75 ticks, which is basically about 3 to 4. It's like what would that be, like 3 3/4 seconds or something like that, because there's 20 ticks per second. So 75 ticks per second is going to be a lot better than the 150 from the tier 2, and it's also going to use a lot less power per block as well. 512 RF per block as opposed to about 2,000 RF per block. So very, very good. Very, very useful. And then when we crank this up with speed upgrades, it will actually produce blocks at a relatively quick rate. So let's just make sure that this is going through. Looks like we don't have any mica yet, but we will. I was hoping that would pop out. So, oh, there's one. There's one. Okay. Do I want to do the upgrades now? Or do I want to do the room first? That's the question. I wish I'd get like one more mica. Decisions. Why don't we go ahead and do the room? Let's decorate the room. We'll let this thing run while we're decorating the room. And hopefully by the time we're done decorating the room, we have enough mica to properly do the upgrades. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take those factory blocks that we're using for walls throughout this base, and we're just going to surround this outer layer with them, because this is all basically going to be factory blocks, okay? So there we go. Missed one over there. Put you back. Yes, got it. Okay, good. All right. Now, let's grab our Super Builder's Wand out of our backpack. Let's make sure we have all of our factory blocks, because this is going to use a bunch of them. And then let's just build this up to right there. There we go. So that's all taken care of. And then we need to do our floor. So let's take this guy out. And how do we want to do this? Let's just bring it across here. Basically, get rid of all of these blocks that aren't part of the resource miner. There we go. Do one of those. And then, actually, you know what? Let's take that out, and this should insta-mine. Yeah, good. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of that. Get that all pulled out, looking good, nice and simple. And then afterwards, what do I want to do with this refined storage cable? Because I can't run it straight through, otherwise the cable will block the laser. Remember that laser has to go all the way to bedrock and be uninterrupted. So why don't we kind of, like, bounce the cable over this way a little bit? I think that's probably a better idea. And then let's make sure that comes out. Now, the reason we want to do the cable, I don't think I'm going to do it in this episode, but I want to hook this whole thing up to our refined storage system, so any blocks it produces automatically end up in our refined storage system, for obvious reasons. I don't want to have to come and manually unload this chest all the time. That's just stupid. So, there we go. That should be good. We can put our factory blocks away. Let's grab some laboratory blocks for our floor. And grab some of those for a little bit of an extra detail type block. A little bit of texture variation or whatever. And then we'll bring them across over here. Come on now. Over here as well. There we go. That looks good. And then let's go ahead and clear all of that. And that should be good. And then we just take our builder's wand and fill in the floor. I missed two. Just like so. There we go. And then we just should have to do the same thing over here on this side, and then we should be good. As far as the floor goes, just grab our drill and knock out a couple little random spots here and there to get our other tiles in, just to kind of break up the floor a little bit, keep it from all being one texture, because that's not really a good look when you just have massive, there's no interest. It's a lot better looking, I think, to have those little tiles in, like we've done throughout the rest of the base. So there we go. Grab these laboratory blocks, fill those in, and there we go. Beautiful. Okay, so now we need to get the ceiling figured out. That's going to also be important, obviously. So let's put that stuff away. And I think we're going to use these factory blocks for the ceiling. Let's try those out. Let's just draw a line across. Like so. There we go. Get rid of that guy. And I don't know if this will be enough, so let's just grab a couple more. There we go. Builder's wand, bring that all the way across. Nice and simple. Yeah, that looks good. I think that works. It stands out a little bit, maybe a little bit more than it should, but I don't think it's bad. And I think once we add another block around the borders of it, it'll look better. So let's grab our blue factory blocks here. That should be plenty. And let's just make a nice border around the whole room. Like so. There we go. Almost done. Okay, that's good. And then we'll bring this up. Grab a few more. And bring that up in this corner. And this corner. And that's it. Okay, so that's all good. Now we need to do lights. So you guys can see. Because right now, I know it's super dark. I get it. So let's go 3 blocks in from the corner. So 1, 2, 3. Right here. And right here. There we go. That gives us a nice kind of moody light where it sets the kind of creepy atmosphere, but it's still bright enough that you can actually see what's going on. So I think that works for me. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, awesome. So now that this is all in place and that this is all looking good, I think we're ready to move on. And we got 7 mica in that time, which is awesome. So that should allow us, with the 1 mica that we already had, that should allow us to make 4 speed modifiers, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, 4 of these, because they each require 2 modifiers. So we're going to need some modifier cores. Let's go ahead and make a couple of those, and I'm out of clear glass. So tell you what, let's just break a couple of these. We'll steal those, and you'll notice the resource miner shuts off because it is a multi-block, and when you remove those, it's no longer a valid multi-block. But we can turn those into speed modifiers, and then we just replace them where they were. I think what we're going to do is we'll just kind of put them over in here for symmetry's sake. They're there. And then put our speed modifiers in right here. And that'll reactivate it because it's valid again. And then we'll start getting blocks at a faster rate than we were before. So there you go. You can see it's coming in quite a bit faster, which is super awesome. Like, that's fantastic. And we can use that to get more mica. There's one that just popped up right there. But we can use that to get more mica, which we can then use to make more speed upgrades and so on and so forth, until we get to the point where we have 12 speed upgrades. There are other upgrades in environmental tech, but most of them aren't for the ore miner. Most of them aren't really that useful for this particular machine. So I think we're just going to go 12 speed modifiers and pretty much call it good. That's kind of my plan. And we're getting all sorts of blocks now. And we do have 2 more mica, just in that short time. So we can use those to make another speed modifier. And we can upgrade that one, like so. And then it will be a little bit faster. And time will pass, and then we'll get more mica, and so on and so forth. You guys get the idea, I hope. So yeah, this is good. This is very good. I think I am pretty happy with the progress. I do want to go ahead and put a laboratory door on this room, along with a couple of these pressure plates, which are painted with quite clear glass to make them invisible. So we'll do one there and there. But there we go. I think that is pretty good. And I think, guys, I am pretty much out of time for this episode. So my friends, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I do appreciate it, and it really helps out my channel. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. There are links in the video description below, so check that out as well. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll definitely see you next time.